What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we, the people, choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Do you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
Come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
This is Fanfare with Barry Cunningham.
Trump has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician, has risen. Somebody who 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, dead politically, known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
We need to also factor in not only who's won, which is Trump, but who's lost, which is to say us. And I guess I would throw into that the epitome of the us who is losing here is Europe. That the European Union and by and large its member states have misread the direction where events were going. The causes that it is interested in, climate, human rights, some others, as well as the methods of diplomacy that it prefers, are simply being gradually kind of marginalized as something new, not necessarily something better, but something new moves into the center.
The West represents...
All right, so welcome to this morning's early edition. They keep scheduling these things real early, and we're going to cover them as best we can. So today, Trump goes, and he's doing it virtually. He didn't go over to Switzerland, but he's going to be talking to the people at Davos today, the WEF. And as you just heard, those were two people from Davos who were in panic. Trump has become the president of the United States, and they're not really sure how to deal with him. Well, I'm going to show you this other video in a second, which is pretty much was the precursor for Trump doing his speech today. Javier Milei did his speech and basically to their faces told them, y'all done. We're over this globalist crap. You're done. Right to their faces. I mean, he had some decorum in what he said, but he basically told them, we're done with you. And I'm pretty sure when Trump gives his speech today, it'll do absolutely the same thing. He's going to let them know everything that they stand for, We don't want anything to do with that. We don't want your globalist agenda. It's absolutely over. Now, had some computer issues this morning, going crazy. Rumble wasn't working, wasn't giving me the integration so I could go to all three platforms. So I'm going direct right now to via YouTube. I hope all the integrations work in terms of being able to bring everything in seamlessly. I may have to do it on the fly, so just give me some leeway here in producing this show. But in any event, welcome. Thank you very much for tuning in. I know you have options, and we love it that you come here. We will be doing a 3:30 show today as well, and more than likely a 7:30 because so much stuff is happening. So let's cover some early news, shall we? Some early news that you're going to actually like. Massive legal victory. Judge rules that FISA backdoor surveillance is unconstitutional. This is a major constitutional ruling on one of the most abused provisions of FISA. So FISA was something that was cooked up that was supposedly supposed to help us, spy on other people, and they flipped it around over the last, 10 years and decided they're going to spy on Americans as well. So the Privacy Act and everything that they've been trying to do to get rid of it, it's interesting how it took till Trump got elected before the courts actually stepped in and said, nah, you can't do it. No more backdoor surveillance. Stop surveilling American citizens on a backdoor basis, meaning checking your phone, checking your records online, your searches. I don't know how that's enforced, given the fact that we're seeing so many people, as of right now, already ignoring what Trump is telling them not to do. And we saw the courts with Biden. He didn't care. You got AOC out there telling everybody, ignore everything that's going on. The Democrats are in full-blown panic mode this morning. Mark Mitchell, who we were going to have on, he had some connection problems, but we'll get him back on, he posted this. Trump almost hit 60% approval overnight. He's going to be launching a 3-day average poll very soon, so we'll get him on to talk about that. So, with all of this happening, with all of this good news that's happening, with the DEI stuff basically imploding, with the people who in the different departments who are trying to obfuscate and find workarounds for the DEI, it's all coming to a head very quickly. I got to show you something. I should have had this one ready. These people just don't seemingly have any idea that they were being watched. Because if they had an idea that they were being watched, they wouldn't do stuff like this. Let me show you this. This is because, okay, here it is. Busted Liar. That's the title of this. The ATF defied Donald Trump's order to place DEI workers on leave by 5 p.m. yesterday, giving their DEI officer a new title. They attack citizens' rights, ignore leadership, and act as though they're above the law. Enough is enough. Time to abolish the ATF. So here's this woman, and on January 21st, her title was the Chief Diversity Officer. And then on January 22nd, they didn't know people were watching, and somehow she's no longer the Chief Diversity Officer. She was Chief Diversity Officer yesterday, but now she's actually a senior executive. They are going in and they are editing job descriptions and job titles to try and save these people. That's how sinister the stuff that's going on. That's how bad they are scrambling like rats off the Titanic at this point. They don't know what to do. They got caught completely flat-footed. They never thought he was going to win. And now Trump has said, no DEI. Get rid of it. By 5 p.m. yesterday. And so they're thinking, and that's the funny thing about it, they don't realize there are people already knew what was coming. Trump knew what he was going to sign. And so he probably had a ton of staff and other people, hey, watch this department. See if you see any abnormalities. Watch these guys. Let's see who there was. Let these rats raise their heads. Let us see who they are that we need to lop them off. And they're doing it. They don't even realize the stuff that they've been saying. It's that bad. for you to go ahead and leave this woman, leave everything, picture, her name, and in one day she goes from chief diversity officer to senior executive. Nope. You've been found out. You gotta go. Sorry. You've been chosen. You've been chosen for exposure. Meanwhile, and you guys are going to love this, what we're seeing happening all over. The 1,500 military troops President Trump deployed to the border have arrived, and senior administration officials say this is just the start. The soldiers are reinforcing walls and building outposts to help them monitor illegal entries. We are finally using our military to guard our own border instead of foreign countries thousands of miles away. And these are the troops doing what they got to do. I don't know if that's a file photo. I know that's file. That's not now. But they're actually out there doing what we need them to do. Now, I can firsthand tell you, things are changing quickly. Both of my videos yesterday, because I mentioned J6ers and I said it straight up, illegal aliens, both of my videos yesterday got dinged by YouTube. Meaning the algorithm is sniffing out stuff and it finds and says, hey, you mentioned illegal aliens. We don't want you talking about that. We don't want you talking about J6ers. However, once I hit the person appeal, hey, I need someone to look at this. Not your algorithm, not your spiders. I need actual eyes on these videos. Both restrictions came off. So that tells me that things are working. Things are in play. The people behind the computer, they know, hey, we got to stop doing this stuff. They've been given the order. They've been told, stop the censorship. They're going to have to tweak the algorithm. They're going to have to, get in there and write some new code and say the words illegal alien and, transgenders aren't bad. Because now we can say it, because every single time now I'm seeing it's the third time it's happened in the last, 36 hours, that as soon as I hit appeal to an actual person, within a couple hours, the restriction gets raised. So YouTube understands from a personal perspective, they need to change. What the problem is now is that their AI-based spiders and algorithm, that needs to change. But it's coming. It is absolutely coming. So let's see when this starts and see when Trump just goes right face to face with these people and does what he needs to do. All right, so let me bring you in and listen to what Javier Milei had to say.
The pinnacle of human achievement. On the fertile ground of its Greco-Roman heritage and Judeo-Christian values, the seeds of something unprecedented in history were sown. After definitively overcoming absolutism, liberalism inaugurated a new era in human existence, and within the new moral and philosophical framework which placed individual liberty above the whims of tyrants, the West was able to unleash man's creative capacity, initiating an unprecedented process of wealth generation. The data speaks for itself. Until the year 1800, the world's per capita GDP remained virtually constant. However, from the 19th century onwards, and thanks to the Industrial Revolution, per capita GDP multiplied by 20, lifting 90% of the global population out of poverty, even though the population itself increased eightfold. And this was only possible thanks to a convergence of fundamental values, respect for life, liberty, and property, which enabled free trade, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and the other pillars of Western civilization. In addition, our inventive Faustian exploratory pioneering spirit, which is constantly testing the limits of what is possible. And that's a pioneering spirit that today is represented, among others, by my dear friend Elon Musk, who has been unjustly vilified by the wokeism ideology in recent days for an innocent gesture that simply reflects his enthusiasm and gratitude towards people. In summary, we invented capitalism on the basis of saving, investment, labor, and reinvestment and hard work. We got every worker to multiply tenfold, 100-fold, or why not even 1,000-fold their productivity, thus overcoming the Malthusian trap. Yet at some point in the 20th century, we lost our way, and the liberal principles that had made us free and prosperous were betrayed. A new political class, driven by collectivist ideologies and taking advantage of times of crisis, saw the perfect opportunity to accumulate power. All the wealth created by capitalism until then and into the future would be redistributed through some scheme of centralized planning, setting in motion a process whose disastrous consequences we are suffering today. By promoting a socialist agenda, while insidiously operating within the liberal paradigm, this new political class distorted the values of liberalism. And so they replaced freedom with liberation, using the coercive power of the state to redistribute the wealth created by capitalism. Their justification was the sinister, unjust, and abhorrent idea of social justice, complemented by theoretical Marxist frameworks aimed at liberating individuals from their needs. And at the core of this new value system lies the fundamental premise that equality before the law is not enough, as hidden systemic injustices exist which must be rectified. An idea that serves as a goldmine for bureaucrats who aspire to omnipotence. And this is fundamentally what wokeism is about, the result of the reversal of Western values. Each of our civilization's pillars has been replaced by a distorted version of itself through various mechanisms of cultural subversion. Negative rights to life, liberty, and property were transformed into an artificial and endless list of positive rights. First it was education, then housing, and from then on absurdities like access to the internet, televised football, theater, cosmetic treatments, and an endless number of other desires that were turned into fundamental human rights. Rights that, of course, someone has to pay for, and which can only be guaranteed through the infinite expansion of the abhorrent state. In other words, we move from the concept of freedom as the fundamental protection of the individual against the intervention of the tyrant to the concept of liberation through state intervention. On this foundation, wokeism was built, an ideology of monolithic thinking upheld by various institutions whose purpose is to penalize dissent. Feminism, diversity, inclusion, equity, immigration, abortion, environmentalism, gender ideology, among others. These are all various heads of the same beast, aimed at justifying the state's expansion through the appropriation and distortion of noble causes.
These people have no idea what's about to happen. They're about to be slapped down by Trump right to their faces. Javier Milei, he walks in and slaps them down right to their faces. It's amazing. You guys know what you're going to hear today, but let me give you a little bit of a preface.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
When you think about it, these people, you know, that guy who looks like Dr. Evil from Austin Powers, what's his name? Klaus Schwab, and we're going to take over the world with what we want to do, and America is the last piece that needs to fall. And the Soros boys and all of the deep staters were all in on it. They all wanted to take America down. That was the final chess piece for their puzzle. That's what they wanted. And now they can't do it. They can't do it because Trump is in the way, and now he's got Javier Milei, you know, from another country in Argentina, who's letting them know, you're failed. We are not going to accept this anymore. It's over with. And then Trump today, I mean, I can't wait. We got like 10 minutes and he's going to start delivering his message as well very quickly to these people. It's about time. It's about time we had a president who was going to stand up to the globalists instead of, basically kneeling before them, letting them determine specifically how things were going to run, and have America basically fund its own demise. Hey, here's a couple billions and billions and billions because we want this to happen. By funding Zelensky and funding all types of anti-American efforts, they were basically supporting the WEF. They were supporting the Learjet crowd. The same crowd that flies in, and they've shown pictures over there in Davos where there's like 100 Learjets, private jets, Gulfstreams, G5s. But they're the people who tell you, no, you're going to have to eat the bugs and live in a pod. Meanwhile, they're flying all over the country. Even John Kerry, he's still doing it. John Kerry was part of the Biden administration, the whatever climate change are, and he's still out there making noise about how, here's what we need to do to get America in line. You're done. Absolutely done. And I can't wait. Looking good this morning, Barry. Thank you. Feeling good. That guy reminded me of one of the vampires from a Hammer movie. His name is Charles Slav. Milei is the president of Argentina. Yes, he is. I hope he puts them down. Don't be shocked. He asked for investments and stuff into America at the end. Yeah, I believe it. They're going to have to change. I don't know if they want to. But as you heard, in case you guys weren't here at the beginning, you may want to rewind. They are admitting that they have lost. They've lost. So when you get somebody to actually understand and realize that they have indeed lost, what's the next step? Because at this point, they're probably going to fight harder. Be ready for that. Like I said, if we're winning, we have to realize what winning means. We have to destroy these people. This is only 2 minutes, and I just want you to hear the sheer panic in this guy's voice. Not the whole, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but this first guy.
Trump has done something no person in the world has ever done before. A dead man, a dead politician, has risen. Somebody who 4 years ago at Davos, he's buried, dead politically, known to me. He's now returned. This is the greatest comeback in political history of a politician. And then, therefore, he thinks he can do anything.
You damn right. You damn right. He does think he can do anything for America. I don't really care what you people do. Don't care what you people think. And I loved how he kept saying, well, I didn't love, I caught notice of the fact that he said dead a few times. He's a dead politician. He was nothing. We got rid of him with the help of, the cheat that we did. All the money that Soros put out there, we got rid of him. He was dead. And now he is risen. Now, I only say that about one person, he has risen, but metaphorically, Trump has risen. And now these people don't know what to do. These are the world gatekeepers. These are the people who tell other people how you should run your government. The immense power of the WEF and the WHO and all these three-letter agencies and groups, they're threatened. And when people are threatened, they lash out. And these people have lots of money with lots of friends in some really bad countries. So how do you think they're going to react when they see now that Javier Milei and now Trump is going to come in about 5-6 minutes and tell these people, in no other certain term, get bent. He told them before, it's America first. And that was during his first term. And they kind of like snickered because they knew he'd be gone. They knew he'd be gone because they knew what they were funding. And now he's back and he doesn't give a shit. As Tucker said, Daddy's home and he's pissed off. So I can't imagine what he's going to say to these people today. They don't have Elon money. Maybe not individually, but collectively they probably have as much. Money won't make them happy anymore because what they really want is to be all powerful. Yep, exactly. The WF can pound sand. Absolutely. ATF needs a wake-up call as well. Have you guys seen what the ATF did? Let me see if I can just like that other agency that's trying to hide people. Oh, that's the same agency. That was the ATF. The thing I showed you earlier, when I showed you this, that was the ATF as well. So the ATF right now is scrambling really bad. Let me see if I can pull this thing up here. Because what they did, somebody showed the words that they use to classify who's a threat and who's not a threat. And believe it, if you wouldn't believe some of the things in here that they called a threat. Let me see if I can find that document. If I can find this document, it will just drive you nuts when you see all this stuff that they put in here. Can't find it right now, but basically they said that people who talk about patriotism, they're a threat. Patriotism is threatening to the ATF. Let me just, obviously 2A is a threat. I'm trying to find that document. I can't find it right now. I'll find it while Trump is talking. That way I'll show it to you. But these people are in a bad way. I mean a seriously bad way. So we're waiting for Trump to take the stage. I've got two different feeds running. WEF, also known as NWO. Yep. Klaus Schwab is that kind of descendant. Yeah, I agree. The WF is desperate. They're really desperate. Because now, not in addition to losing the power they had with Biden, now they also know that Trump controls the military. And unlike Biden, who was afraid to basically, show muscle, they've got somebody now who's ready to show some muscle. Sorry to break it to you, WF. Only God is more powerful. Yep, I love Milei. Milei is fantastic. WEF crying because their plans aren't working. Thank God for Trump. I can't even imagine what state the world would be in if the Democrats had gotten in. Well, you're about to see, or you saw a little bit of it, because Kamala wasn't going to run anything. I think every one of you at this point have seen enough of Kamala to realize she couldn't run a Girl Scouts troop. She's absolutely vapid upstairs. There's nothing there. So whoever it was that was trying to install her, she was going to be a bigger puppet than Biden. They were going to stick their hands so far up her butt and make her say these things because she has no clue. That should scare the hell out of real Americans. We watched this woman talk. We watched when her teleprompter went down. She couldn't talk. She literally had nothing to say for about 30 seconds until her teleprompter kicked back on. So she wasn't leading anything. She was a walking, talking puppet. That's it. That's all she was going to be. Waiting to see. It looks like they've got the economic forum up. We can begin listening in, actually, before they introduce Trump. And let's see here. Let me pull this in. Hold on here. Just want to make sure the feed is right. What am I doing here? Where is this? Hold on 1 second. It looks like Sarah Huckabee Sanders is there. Let me move this over so we can get some
on this scale, but instead that's why states and the fundamentals and the things that we have to directly offer, like our workforce, like our ability to supply energy, that's what allows us to be competitive and make a difference. The pitch we're making is that come to Arkansas, because there you can grow your business to be anything that you want it to be. That's, I think, what a lot of governors are talking about and selling. We've invested and spent the last 2 years since I became governor focusing heavily on education. because I know that that's what's going to make a huge difference in our ability to recruit and retain big companies, is whether or not we can provide the workforce that they need and that they will demand in order to be successful. And we didn't just tinker with the system. Frankly, Arkansas continually ranks at the bottom when it comes to education. We've always been 48th, 49th, all the places that you don't want to be. That's where we found ourselves. And so we didn't just like make a little bit of an adjustment. We put in transformational change so that we're now competing at the top. Arkansas is now #1 when adjusted for cost of living for teacher pay anywhere in the country. So we invested heavily in public education. At the same time, I'm a mom. I have 3 kids. And just within my own home, I know that not all 3 of my kids learn the same. So I know that all the kids within my state aren't going to learn the same. And a parent should have the ability to choose where and how their kid can best be educated. Arkansas also is opening up universal school choice that will start this year. We've invested significantly in literacy programs that will take Arkansas from the bottom to hopefully moving up into the top sector, because those are places that I know that if we invest in the fundamentals, that will be what makes the determination of whether or not a company can thrive in our state. The other thing I love to say is we're home to Fortune #1. A lot of people love to brag about their companies. A place like Arkansas, you can go from being a 5 and dime store to being the biggest Walmart, in case you didn't know. Arkansas is home to Walmart, the biggest company on the face of the planet. And so if that can happen there, then any company can come there, grow, and thrive.
And when we're talking about Kentucky, we're on the biggest, best economic development win streak in our lifetime. We've broken every record for private sector investment, new jobs, wages, exports, tourism, so come see us. But when you look at our trajectory, it's incredible. We're not the same Kentucky we were 5 or 10 years ago. And so we've even launched an initiative called Our New Kentucky Home, one where we leave the stereotypes of the past in the past. We embrace this new exciting economy that we have, and we take everything we love about our home and we invite you to join. It's a place that so many companies that are locating their first U.S. facility choose. It's a place where many companies that have a North American headquarters choose. We're in a great logistics area. You can reach 60% of the U.S. population in a one-day drive. We're #1 in air cargo by the ton between UPS Worldport and Northern Kentucky International Airport. They call it the Cincinnati Airport. It's on our side of the river. But that is DHL's North American headquarters in Kentucky. So we embrace foreign direct investment. We embrace expansions of what we already have. And when you come to Kentucky, it is long-term. We want you to be successful. We want you to grow. And it looks like last year were the highest profits our Kentucky-based businesses have ever seen. And we think that's a good thing, because if you're really profitable in Kentucky, you're going to expand. You're going to hire more people, and you're going to create a better life for the Kentuckians that have been elected to serve.
That's the sales portion of the panel.
Thank you for that.
No, I want to give you the opportunity to do it.
You can see the competitive spirit that we have, because that's exactly one of the, I think, differences of being a governor, is that you're going out and you have to be the chief salesperson, the chief spokesperson for your state. But one of the things I think that you'll see that is common between the two is a lot of people are fleeing the coast and coming to the heartland. They're looking for a lot of that relationship-driven effort that you're going to see displayed. And one of the things that we're constantly talking about, and why events like this are important, because it allows us to talk directly and one-on-one with companies that we're hoping.
What's going on with labor in both of your states? And the reason I ask, right-to-work states, you're a right-to-work state.
We're a right-to-work state.
You increasingly have a whole bunch of unions that didn't exist before when Toyota first showed up. How does that change the dynamic?
Well, I think you're going to hear some differences here. I'm a pro-union governor. I believe that when businesses and unions will have good dialogue, really good things can happen. I've seen a big transformation over the last several years. We are a right-to-work state much more recently than Arkansas.
All right, you are listening right there as this conversation is underway at the World Economic Forum. This does involve Andy Beshear, the governor of Kentucky, as well as Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the governor of Arkansas. They are having a discussion about, well, the economy. Now, we are waiting for President Donald Trump to address the forum as well. You can see that image that we have Over in the top right-hand side of your screen, we are told any moment that he is going to be appearing virtually and will give a speech. As of right now, it looks like folks are still maybe getting seated there, but you can see on your screen we are awaiting that to begin. For now, I'm going to pop up the audio. Oh, now people are walking in. We are going to take this live, raw, and uninterrupted.
Mr. President,
hello.
What great honor, and pleasure to welcome you back to the Davos community. Just 4 days into your new mandate, we highly appreciate your presence with us today. We wish you all the best as you take on your critical work ahead. The global challenges we face today are monumental. The importance of American leadership and your personal leadership in this regard is fundamental and paramount. To hear your vision and policies related to revitalizing the economy and addressing the global challenges. As you might expect, Mr. President, your return to office and your forthcoming policies have been at the focus of our discussion.
Do me a favor and let me know how the volume is so I can adjust it up or down according to how it sounds to you.
Political and business leaders from over 130 countries who came together here in Davos. We look forward hearing first from you and then to the follow-up discussion with business leaders moderated by my colleague Børge Brende. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Well, thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, Klaus, and hello to everyone in beautiful Davos. This has been a truly historic week in the United States. 3 days ago, I took the oath of office, and we began the golden age of America. The recent presidential election was won by millions of votes, and all seven, every one of them, all seven swing states. It was a massive mandate from the American people like hasn't been seen in many years. And some of the political pundits, even some of my so-called enemies, said it was the most consequential election victory in 129 years. That's quite nice. What the world has witnessed in the past 72 hours is nothing less than a revolution of common sense. Our country will soon be stronger, wealthier, and more united than ever before, and the entire planet will be more peaceful and prosperous as a result of this incredible momentum and what we're doing and going to do. My administration is acting with unprecedented speed to fix the disasters we've inherited from a totally inept group of people and to solve every single crisis facing our country. This begins with confronting the economic chaos caused by the failed policies of the last administration. Over the past 4 years, our government racked up $8 trillion in wasteful deficit spending and inflicted nation-wrecking energy restrictions, crippling regulations, and hidden taxes like never before. The result is the worst inflation crisis in modern history and sky-high interest rates for our citizens and even throughout the world. Food prices and the price of almost every other thing known to mankind went throughout the world. Food prices and the price of almost every other thing known to mankind went through the roof. President Biden totally lost control of what was going on in our country, but in particular with our high inflation economy and at our border. Because of these ruinous policies, total government spending this year is $1.5 trillion higher than was projected to occur when I left office just 4 years ago. Likewise, the cost of servicing the debt is more than 230% higher than was projected in 2020. The inflation rate we are inheriting remains 50% higher than the historic target. It was the highest inflation probably in the history of our country. That's why from the moment I took office, I've taken rapid action to reverse each and every one of these radical left policies that created this calamity, in particular with immigration, crime, and inflation. On day one, I signed an executive order directing every member of my cabinet to marshal all powers at their disposal to defeat inflation and reduce the cost of daily life. I imposed a federal hiring freeze, a federal regulation freeze, a foreign aid freeze, and I created the new Department of Government Efficiency. I terminated the ridiculous and incredibly wasteful Green New Deal. I call it the Green New Scam. Withdrew from the one-sided Paris Climate Accord and ended the insane and costly electric vehicle mandate. We're going to let people buy the car they want to buy. I declared a national energy emergency, and that's so important, national energy emergency to unlock the liquid gold under our feet and pave the way for rapid approvals of new energy infrastructure. The United States has the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we're going to use it. Not only will this reduce the cost of virtually all goods and services, it'll make the United States a manufacturing superpower and the world capital of artificial intelligence and crypto. My administration has also begun the largest deregulation campaign in history, far exceeding even the record-setting efforts of my last term. In total, the Biden administration imposed $50,000 in additional regulatory costs on the average American household over the last 4 years. I have promised to eliminate 10 old regulations for every new regulation, which will soon put many thousands of dollars back in the pockets of American families. To further unleash our economy, our majorities in the House and Senate, which we also took along with the presidency, are going to pass the largest tax cut in American history, including massive tax cuts for workers and family, and big tax cuts for domestic producers and manufacturers. And we're working with the Democrats on getting an extension of the original Trump tax cuts, as you probably know, by just reading any paper. My message to every business in the world is very simple. Come make your product in America, and we will give you among the lowest taxes of any nation on earth. We're bringing them down very substantially, even from the original Trump tax cuts. But if you don't make your product in America, which is your prerogative, then very simply you will have to pay a tariff, differing amounts, but a tariff which will direct hundreds of billions of dollars and even trillions of dollars into our treasury to strengthen our economy and pay down debt. Under the Trump administration, there will be no better place on earth to create jobs, build factories, or grow a company than right here in the good old USA. Already Americans' you can see this, I think, maybe even in your wonderful, wonderful room that you're all gathered together, so many of my friends, but Americans, the economic confidence is soaring like we haven't seen in many, many decades, maybe not at all. Upon my election, it was just announced that small business optimism skyrocketed by 41 points in a single month. That's the highest ever. There's never been anything like that. SoftBank has announced between a $100 and $200 billion investment in the U.S. economy because of the election result. And just 2 days ago, Oracle, SoftBank, and OpenAI announced a $500 billion investment in AI infrastructure. Other companies likewise have announced billions and billions and billions, adding up to trillions of investment in America, in the United States. And it's also reported today in the papers that Saudi Arabia We'll be investing at least $600 billion in America, but I'll be asking the Crown Prince, who's a fantastic guy, to round it out to around $1 trillion. I think they'll do that because we've been very good to them. And I'm also going to ask Saudi Arabia and OPEC to bring down the cost of oil. You got to bring it down, which, frankly, I'm surprised they didn't do before the election. That didn't show a lot of love by them not doing it. I was a little surprised by that. If the price came down, the Russia-Ukraine war would end immediately. Right now, the price is high enough that that war will continue. You got to bring down the oil price. You got to end that war. They should have done it long ago. They're very responsible, actually, to a certain extent for what's taking place. Millions of lives are being lost. With oil prices going down, I'll demand that interest rates drop immediately, and likewise, they should be dropping all over the world. Interest rates should follow us. All over, the progress that you're seeing is happening because of our historic victory in a recent presidential election, one that has become quite well known throughout the world. I think a lot of things are happening to a lot of countries. They say that there's light shining all over the world since the election, and even countries that we aren't particularly friendly with are happy because they understand what there is a future and how great the future will be. Under our leadership, America is back and open for business. And this week, I'm also taking swift action to stop the invasion at our southern border. They allowed people to come in at levels that nobody's ever seen before. It was ridiculous. I decided and declared to do, and very, very importantly, a national emergency on our border immediately halted all entry of illegal border crossers, of which there were many, and began promptly returning the illegal trespassers back to the place from which they came. That action, as you've probably seen, has already started very strongly. I've deployed active duty U.S. military and National Guard troops to the border to assist in repelling the invasion. It was really an invasion. We will not allow our territory to be violated. After 4 long years, the United States is strong and sovereign and a beautiful nation. Once again, it's a strong, sovereign nation. In addition, I'm pleased to report that America is also a free nation once again. On day one, I signed an executive order to stop all government censorship. No longer will our government label the speech of our own citizens as misinformation or disinformation, which are the favorite words of censors and those who wish to stop the free exchange of ideas and, frankly, progress. We have saved free speech in America, and we've saved it strongly. With another historic executive order this week, I also ended the weaponization of law enforcement against the American people and, frankly, against politicians, and restored the fair, equal, and impartial rule of law. My administration has taken action to abolish all discriminatory diversity, equity, and inclusion nonsense. And these are policies that were absolute nonsense throughout the government and the private sector. With the recent yet somewhat unexpected great Supreme Court decision just made, America will once again become a merit-based country. You have to hear that word, merit-based country. And I've made it official, an official policy of the United States, that there are only 2 genders, male and female. And we will have no men participating in women's sports, and transgender operations, which became the rage, will occur very rarely. Finally, as we restore common sense in America, we're moving quickly to bring back strength and peace and stability abroad. I'm also going to ask all NATO nations to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP, which is what it should have been years ago. It was only at 2%, and most nations didn't pay until I came along. I insisted that they pay, and they did, because the United States was really paying the difference at that time, and it was unfair to the United States. But many, many things have been unfair for many years to the United States. Before even taking office, my team negotiated a ceasefire agreement in the Middle East, which wouldn't have happened without us, as I think most of the people in the room know. Earlier this week, the hostages began to return to their families. They are returning, and it's a beautiful sight, and they'll be coming in more and more. They started coming back on Sunday. Our efforts to secure a peace settlement between Russia and Ukraine are now hopefully underway. It's so important to get that done. That is an absolute killing field. Millions of soldiers are being killed. Nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. They're laying dead all over the flat fields. It's a flat field farmland, and there's millions of Russians and millions of Ukrainians. Nobody's seen anything like it since World War II. It's time to end it. And here in America, we have big events coming up. Next year, we have the 250th anniversary of America's founding. I'm so honored to be president during that. That's been a big event. They've been talking about it for 10 years. We also have the World Cup. And I understand Gianni's in the room. Infantino, he was very instrumental in helping us get it. He's there with you someplace, I think. And I want to thank him for that. And then we have the Olympics coming up, which I was instrumental in getting also in my first term. And who would have known that by skipping a term, I would get the Olympics? I was upset. I said, you know, I got the Olympics to come and I won't be president. But it turned out through a stroke of luck, or whatever you might call it, that I'm going to be president during the World Cup and the Olympics and the 250th anniversary. So that's going to be 3 big events. And we've accomplished more in less than 4 days. We have really been working 4 days than other administrations have accomplished in 4 years. And we're just getting started. It's really an amazing thing to see, and the spirit and the light over our country has been incredible. Under the last administration, our nation has suffered greatly, but we're going to bring it back and make it greater, bigger, stronger, better than ever before. I want to thank everybody for being with you. I would have been there myself, except the inauguration was 2 days ago. I thought it might be a little bit quick to make it the first stop, but we'll get there one day. We hope to get there. But I do appreciate, I heard the audience is fantastic, and many of my friends are in the audience, and I will be taking questions now from some very distinguished people. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President, for that very powerful speech. And I think you could hear the applause all the way from Davos to the White House. But next year it will be even better, because then you can get the applause here in Davos. So we wish you welcome to our village next year. We hope to see you.
Thank you very much.
So we also know, Mr. President, that you open up for interaction here. We have a great panel with some of the most distinguished business people in the world. Let me start with someone that you know really well, that I think is almost a neighbor of you in in Florida. Mr. Steve Schwarzman, Chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Blackstone Group. So, Steve, floor is yours.
Well, Mr. President, I'm sure the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia will be really glad you gave this speech today. You've had the busiest 4 days that anybody can imagine, and congratulations for that. My question is about some of the things I've observed here at Davos. It's a terrific forum. I've met lots of people, as usual. I think I've been here 30 years. And a lot of the European business people have expressed enormous frustration with the regulatory regime in the EU. And they attribute slower growth rates here because of numerous factors, but especially because of regulations. And you've taken a completely different approach in this area. And if you could explain the theory of what you're doing, how you're going to do it, and what you expect the outcome to be, I'd appreciate it.
Well, thank you very much. And congratulations, Steve. You're a friend of mine, but on a great career. You have had an amazing career and it continues. I just want to congratulate you. Very inspirational to a lot of people. I want to talk about the EU because you mentioned specifically that I have also had a lot of friends and leaders of countries. I've gotten to know them all my first term and a little bit during this period of 4 years and know them well, like them a lot. But they're very frustrated because of the time everything seems to take to get approved, environmental impact statements for things that you shouldn't even have to do that, and many, many other ways that it takes. And I'm going to give you a quick little example. In the private life, my beautiful private life, before I had all these things happening, the world is a little different. I had a nice, simple life. You knew that. But when I had that simple life, I did projects, and I had a big project in Ireland, and it had to get approval on something that would have made it even better. And I got the approval from Ireland in a period of a week, and it was a very, very, very efficient, good approval. And they informed me, though, the problem is you're going to have to get it from the EU, and we think that'll take 5 to 6 years. And I said, you have to be kidding. And this was before politics. And I said, wait a minute, it's not that important. I don't want to go 5 or 6 years, but it would have been a big investment. It would have been nice, and it would have been good for the project. And I sent the people to the EU to see if they could speed it up. And basically it was a 5 or 6 year wait just to get a simple approval that Ireland gave me in a period of literally not much more than a week. And I realized right then, that was the first time I really was involved with the EU, but I realized right then that's a problem, and I didn't even bother applying to do it. Or if I did, I pulled it very quickly. I have to be very accurate because I don't want to be criticized. He did apply, actually. No, I want to be very accurate. So I don't think I did, but if I did, I pulled it very quickly. It was just something you couldn't wait 5 years or 6 years to get an approval. So a lot of in a very big business sense, a lot of people are claiming that's the problem. From the standpoint of America, the EU treats us very, very unfairly, very badly. They have a large tax that we know about, and a VAT tax, and it's a very substantial one. They don't take essentially don't take our farm products, and they don't take our cars, yet they send cars to us by the millions. They put tariffs on things that we want to do. Like, for instance, I think they actually, in terms of these are non-economic or non-monetary tariffs, and those are very bad, and they make it very difficult to bring products into Europe, and yet they expect to be selling, and they do sell their products in the United States. So we have, hundreds of billions of dollars of deficits with the EU. And nobody's happy with it, and we're going to do something about it, but nobody's happy with it. So I think the EU has to speed up their process. Friends of mine that are in some of the nations within the EU, great people, they want to be able to compete better, and you can't compete when you can't go through the approval process fast. There's no reason why it can't go faster. So, I'm trying to be constructive because I love Europe. I love the countries of Europe, but the process is a very cumbersome one. And they do treat the United States of America very, very unfairly with the VAT taxes and all of the other taxes they impose. One other, just to finish up, I got a call from the head of a major airline, one of the biggest airlines in the world. And he said, sir, could you help us? What? Landing in Europe is brutal. They charge us fees for everything. And it's so unfair. I said, how does it compare to China? He said, it's much worse. And the other thing, as you know, they took court cases with Apple, and they supposedly won a case that most people didn't think was much of a case. They won 15 or 16 billion from Apple. They won billions from Google. I think they're after Facebook for billions and billions. These are American companies, whether you like them or not. They're American companies, and they shouldn't be doing that. And that's, as far as I'm concerned, it's a form of taxation. So we have some very big complaints with the EU. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. We'll now go to one of your friends in the EU, Patrick Pouyanné. He's the chairman and CEO of Total Energies. I guess you have a question ready, Patrick, for the president.
Mr. President, as we understand, energy is at the top of your agenda, and it's an honor for me to represent the energy industry tonight. In this panel, Total Energies is indeed the fourth largest oil and gas and electricity company in the world. I will not ask you a question about the oil price. It's quite clear what you expect from us. I will go to gas more. And our company is the largest number one exporter LNG from the US company. We are a strong contributor to, and we invest in a mammoth LNG projects in Texas, $20 billion. It's far from 200, but it's $20 billion. And we contribute with that to security of supply to Europe, as we export this LNG to Europe. Some experts fear that if there are too many projects developed in the US on LNG, this could have an inflationary impact on the US domestic gas price. And they recommend a pause on these projects. I would ask you the following question. What are your views about such a pause on investments on LNG in the US? What would happen if you would observe an increased domestic gas price because of these exports? And final question, which is important for Europe, would you agree to guarantee security of supply of US LNG to Europe?
Well, in the last part of your question, yes, I would. I would make sure that you get it. If we make a deal, we make a deal, you'll get it. Because a lot of people do have that problem. They make a deal and then it can't get supplied because of war-type problems and other problems. So we would absolutely do that. LNG is very interesting because when I took office for the first term, one of the first things I looked at was there were two very massive plants in Louisiana, a state that has been very good to me, won it by many, many points. And I felt strongly indebted to it, actually. And they said there are two plants that have been under environmental consideration for more than 10 years. And they were costing, as you say, you know how expensive those plants are, but they were costing like 12 billion and I think 14 or 15 billion. But they couldn't get their permits. They were in review for years, many, many years, like a decade or more. And I said, so ridiculous. I know so much about that because in the construction industry, I had to go through it too, but I got good at it after a while. But I saw the projects, and you're talking about a total investment of 25 to $30 billion, and it looked like it was going to end. They couldn't get their permits, and I got them done in less than a week. It was done, completed. In fact, when they called them to announce that it was done, the countries, largely countries, Japan was involved and another country and some very big investors, they couldn't believe it. They actually couldn't believe it. And I said, just do yourself one favor. Don't pay any consultants, because the only one that got it done was me. I got it done because it was the right thing to do for the U.S. and for the world, but the consultants had nothing to do with it. You know, the consultants go in and they say, give us millions of dollars because Trump did it. Nobody called me about it. I just heard it was a problem for years. And I got it done because it was the right thing to do for the U.S. and the right thing to do for beyond. It had to do with energy, very important. So I think it's very important. I think I disagree with one. I think the more that you do, the lower the price is going to go. And what I'd like to see is rapid approvals. We're going to give very rapid approvals in the United States, like with the AI plants, talking to many people want to build them. That's going to be a very big thing. We're going to build electric generating facilities. They are going to build. I'm going to get them the approval. Under emergency declaration, I can get the approvals done myself without having to go through years of waiting. And the big problem is we need double the energy we currently have in the United States. Can you imagine? For AI to really be as big as we want to have it, because it's a very competitive, it'll be very competitive with China and others. So I'm going to give emergency declarations so that they can start building them almost immediately. And I think it was largely my idea because nobody thought this was possible. It wasn't that they were not smart, because they're the smartest, but I told them that what I want you to do is build your electric generating plant right next to your plant as a separate building connected. And they said, wow, you're kidding. And I said, no, I'm not kidding. You don't have to hook into the grid, which is old and, could be taken out. If it's taken out, they wouldn't have any way to get any electricity. So we are going to allow them to go on a very rapid basis to build their plant, build the electric generating plant. They can fuel it with anything they want, and they may have coal as a backup, good, clean coal. If there were a problem with a pipe coming in, as an example, you're going with gas, oil or gas, and a pipe gets blown up or for some reason doesn't work, there are some companies in the U.S. that have coal sitting right by the plant so that if there's an emergency, they can go to that short-term basis and use our very clean coal. So that's something else that a lot of people didn't even know about. But nothing can destroy coal, not the weather, not a bomb, nothing. It might make it a little smaller, might make it a little different shape, but coal is very strong as a backup. It's a great backup to have that facility, and it wouldn't cost much more money. And we have more coal than anybody. We also have more oil and gas than anybody. So we're going to make it so that the plants will have their own electric generating facilities attached right to their plant. They don't have to worry about a utility. They don't have to worry about anything. And we're going to get very rapid approvals.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. President. We'll now go to another CEO that you know very well, Brian Moynihan, the CEO and Chair of Bank of America.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, and congratulations, and obviously an eventful week for you and your family. If you remember 5 years ago, you came here and we walked among 150 CEOs from all over the world, and you engaged with them about your policies and your procedures. This year, you're not here, and yet this week was eventful from the orders that you mentioned earlier, literally a wave of orders coming out on immigration, on trade, and many other matters. And so, as a representative of the United States here, we got a lot of questions about what does all this mean and how would the president square this with his clear focus on growth, prosperity, market growth, stock market growth, a good bond market, and bringing down prices. So how do you think about the impact of all these orders and how fast they come out and how you're going to balance them with that scorecard of being successful in both continuing GDP growth, bringing down inflation, and also having a good stock price appreciation for the American citizen?
Well, I think it's going to actually bring down inflation. It's going to bring up jobs. We're going to have a lot of jobs. We're going to have a lot of companies moving in. Brian, we're at 21%. It was at 40%, and I got it down to 21%, the corporate tax. And it was actually, if you look at state and city, it was in many cases much higher than 40%. I got it down to 21%. And now we're going to bring it down from 21 to 15% if, there's a big if you make your product in the U.S. So we're going to have the lowest, just about the lowest rate. It'll be, the 21 is on the low side worldwide. The 15 is about as low as it gets. And by far the lowest of a large country, a large, rich, powerful country, by far, not even a contest. So we're going to bring it down to 15% if you make your product in the USA. So that's going to create a tremendous buzz. We're also probably going back to the 1 year deduction where we deduct, we did that originally, and that was amazing what the impact that had, the 1 year deduction, which built up over a period of time, and then it expires. But we're going to go back to that when we do the renewal of the Trump tax plan. We have to get Democrats to approve it. But, if the Democrats didn't approve it, I don't know how they can survive with about a 45% tax increase, because that's what it would be. And so I think they're going to be. We've been working along with them pretty well. I think it's very hard for a political group to say, let's charge people 45% more. So I think we're in good shape, but we're actually doing a reduction for business and small businesses where you're going to bring it down to 15%, which is really something. And by the way, speaking of you, and you've done a fantastic job, but I hope you start opening your bank to conservatives, because many conservatives complain that the banks are not allowing them to do business within the bank, and that included a place called Bank of America. They don't take conservative business. And I don't know if the regulators mandated that because of Biden or what, but you and Jamie and everybody, I hope you're going to open your banks to conservatives because what you're doing is wrong.
Mr. President, I'll say that your friend Gianni said hello, told me to tell you hello, and we look forward to sponsoring the World Cup when it comes both this summer for the club and next year. So thank you for getting that for the United States.
Thank you very much, Brian.
Thank you, Mr. President. We'll now go to Ana Butin. She's the executive chairman of Banco Santander, one of the big European banks, and also in the U.S. So, Ana.
Mr. President, congratulations on a historic victory. I believe you don't know me as well as my fellow panelists, so a few words. Santander is one of the largest banks in the world by number of customers, 170 million. That's more than my friend Brian or my friend Jamie have. And those...
They fixed the regulation.
That's coming.
That was cheeky.
We're a big investor in the United States. We have many million customers, 12,000 employees. We're one of the largest auto lenders. And we recently launched a fully digital bank called Open Bank. We strongly believe banks have a pivotal role in the economy, and we can accelerate growth and help many more customers. That's what we're doing in the United States. So, as Brian pointed out, we very much welcome your focus on deregulation and reducing bureaucracy. So my question is, what are your priorities in this regard, and how fast is this going to happen? Thank you very much.
I think it's going to, thank you and congratulations. I know very much about your bank, and you've done a fantastic job. Congratulations. We are going to move very quickly. We've moved very quickly. We've done things in the last 3 days that nobody thought were possible to do in years. And it's all taking effect. It's going to have a huge impact on the economy, a huge positive impact. Money was being wasted on crazy things. I mean, the Green New Deal was such a total disgrace, how that was perpetrated. And it was conceived of by people that were average students, less than average students, I might add, and never even took a course in energy or the environment. It was just a game. Remember, the world was going to end in 12 years? Remember that? Well, the 12 years has come and gone. It was going to end. It was going to all foam into earth. But, you know, the time has come. These people, and they really scared the Democrats large. I can't say the Republicans. The Republicans maybe could have fought harder to stop it, but it's been a tremendous waste of money. You know, during my 4 years, we had the cleanest air, we had the cleanest water, and yet we had the most productive economy in the history of our country. We had the most productive economy. Until COVID came, we had the most productive in the history of our country by far. And actually, you could look worldwide. We were beating everybody from China to everybody else. So, and we think we really now, with what we have learned and all of the other things that have taken place, we think we can even far surpass that, actually far surpass it. But we do, one thing we're going to be demanding is we're going to be demanding respect from other nations. Canada, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them. As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years. And it's not fair that we should have a $200 billion or $250 billion deficit. We don't need them to make our cars, and they make a lot of them. We don't need their lumber because we have our own forests, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need their oil and gas. We have more than anybody. So, you know, just as an example, with Mexico, we're dealing with Mexico, I think, very well. And we're just, you know, we just want to be treated fairly with other nations, because there's hardly a nation in the world, and I blame this on us, and I blame it on politicians that, for some reason, probably mostly it's stupidity, but you could also say other reasons, but mostly stupidity. They've allowed other nations to take advantage of the U.S., and we can't allow that to happen anymore. You know, we have debt. It's a very small debt when you compare it to the value of the assets that we have. But we don't want to do that. We want to just have debt be obliterated, and we'll be able to do that fairly rapidly. And a lot of good things are going to happen. And honestly, good things are going to happen for the world, and good things are going to happen for the people that are dealing with us, allies and beyond allies. One thing very important, I really would like to be able to meet with President Putin soon and get that war ended. And that's not from the standpoint of economy or anything else. It's from the standpoint of millions of lives are being wasted. Beautiful young people are being shot in the battlefield. You know, the bullet, very flat land, as I said, and the bullet goes, there's no hiding. And a bullet, the only thing going to stop the bullet is a human body. And you have to see, I've seen pictures of what's taken place. It's a carnage, and we really have to stop that war. That war is horrible. And I'm not talking economy. I'm not talking economics. I'm not talking about natural resource. I'm just talking about there's so many young people being killed in this war. And that's not including the people that have been killed as the cities are being, knocked down building by building. So we really should get that stopped. Likewise, in the Middle East, I think we've made a lot of progress in the Middle East, and I think that's gonna come along pretty well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. We know that the most consequential relationship in the world is between the U.S. and China. U.S. 28% of the global economy, China close to 20. That's almost half of the global GDP. And we know that you called President Xi Jinping last Friday. We heard that you had a good discussion. How do you see the relationship between the U.S. and China in the next 4 years under your leadership?
He called me, but I see it very good. I think that we're going to have a very good relationship. All we want is fairness. We just want a level playing field. We don't want to take advantage. We've been having massive deficits with China. Biden allowed it to get out of hand. He's $1.1 trillion deficit. It's ridiculous. And it's just an unfair relationship. And we have to make it just fair. We don't have to make it phenomenal. We have to make it a fair relationship. Right now, it's not a fair relationship. The deficit is massive, as it is with other countries, a lot of Asian countries, actually. But we have deficits that are very big, and we can't keep doing that. So we're not going to keep doing that. But I like President Xi very much. I've always liked him. We always had a very good relationship. It was very strained with COVID coming out of Wuhan. Obviously, that strained it. I'm sure it strained it with a lot of people, but that strained our relationship. But we always had a great relationship, I would say, and we look forward to doing very well with China and getting along with China. Hopefully, China can help us stop the war with, in particular, Russia, Ukraine. They have a great deal of power over that situation, and we'll work with them. And I mentioned that during our phone conversation with President Xi, and hopefully we could work together and get that stopped. We'd like to see denuclearization. In fact, with President Putin, prior to an election result, which was frankly ridiculous, we were talking about denuclearization of our two countries, and China would have come along. China has a much smaller right now nuclear armament than us, or field than us, but they're going to be catching it at some point over the next 4 or 5 years. And I will tell you that President Putin really liked the idea of cutting way back on nuclear. And I think the rest of the world, we would have gotten them to follow. And China would have come along too. China also liked it. Tremendous amounts of money are being spent on nuclear. And the destructive capability is something that we don't even want to talk about today because you don't want to hear it. It's too depressing. So we want to see if we can denuclearize, and I think that's very possible. And I can tell you that President Putin wanted to do it. He and I wanted to do it. We had a good conversation with China. They would have been involved, and that would have been an unbelievable thing for the planet.
Mr. President, when you're back here in Davos next year, will there be then a peace agreement with Ukraine and Russia by then?
Well, you're going to have to ask Russia. Ukraine is ready to make a deal. just so you understand, this is a war that should have never started. If I were president, it would never have started. This is a war that should have never, ever been started. And it wasn't started during there was never even talk about it. I knew that it was the apple of President Putin's eye, but I also knew that there was no way he was going in, and he wasn't going to go in. And then when I was out, bad things happened, bad things were said, a lot of stupidity all around, and you end up with what you have. Now you have all these bombed out cities. They look like demolition sites with many people killed. I think the thing that you'll see about Ukraine is that far more people have died than is being reported. And I've seen that. But far, far more people have died. When you look at a city that's become a demolition site where big buildings have been collapsed by missiles hitting them and everything else, and they say one person was slightly injured. No, many people were killed. Those are big buildings. I was surprised at how that was my business. These are buildings that go 2 and 3 blocks long. They're 20 stories high. They're big, powerful buildings, and they were knocked down, and there were a lot of people in those buildings that announced that 2 people were injured. That's not true. So I think you're going to find that there were many more people killed in Ukraine in the Ukraine war than anybody has any idea. But if you look now, so many of the people being killed are soldiers just facing each other with guns, rifles, and drones, the new form of warfare, drones. And it's a very sad thing to see. And when you see pictures of the fields that I see, nobody wants to see it. You'll never be the same.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, on behalf of all the 3,000 participants here in Davos. We really underline that joining us the third day in your presidency, live taking questions here is so appreciated, and we are already ready for receiving you next year in person. So thank you very much, and all the best from Davos.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sorry, I have to say that.
Oh, I don't think they were expecting that. Oh, I really don't think they were expecting a visual smackdown broadcast live to the world. Serious sphincter tightening had to be happening across the entire Davos spectrum there. Notice he didn't see, what's his name? Klaus Schwab asking any questions. These were all people who I don't know, maybe Klaus Schwab exited. Because if he saw what he did to that guy from Bank of America, bent him over, he popped him so hard that the guy from Bank of America didn't even have a comeback. And what was funny is I'm watching the chat, and you guys were talking about the problems with Bank of America before he even responded to the guy. You're like, Bank of America sucks, Bank of America went after conservatives, and I'm seeing in the chat, and it's almost like Trump had been looking at somebody's chat, and he goes, yeah, what you guys did, we're not going to take that crap anymore either. You've been cutting off conservatives and their businesses and everything else. That's it. We're not dealing with that anymore. And the guy had nothing to say. Nothing. I don't know if they expected that kind of speech. Maybe they should have. If you knew Trump, you knew he wasn't going to hold back. He was so determined to to spank these people, so determined to spank these people, that he was moving really fast during his speech. He was obviously on a teleprompter at a certain extent while he was talking, and he just was mowing through it. And it's almost like someone at the White House or wherever he was went, chill, you got it, you got this, just breathe. Let them know a new sheriff's in town. Let them know daddy's home and you're pissed and you're done with this. You want to do business with us? Bring it. You don't want to do business with us? You're going to get charged a tariff. Right to their faces. No other explanation. Play the right game. You don't play the right game, you ain't going to play at all. Love that. Love that. So much so, you got to consider that entire speech.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
You best get used to it. You better get used to it. Win, win, win. Let's see. Trump was in the bunker. Haven't seen that since Bush. No, I don't even know where that was. Can I give this great man 8 years, 10 years instead of just 4? Exactly. Love it. Trump ain't playing. You know, it's funny. As I do this stuff, we were getting off the. Let me just tell you, we were getting off the air last night with our nighttime show, and I'm just exhausted. And I get a text from Ashley. She's like, "Okay, so you got to do this at 11 o'clock in the morning." I'm like, "What?" It just keeps happening. We don't know the schedule. We're not sure what's going to happen. So then we got another text from Ashley, and the text from Ashley after all that happened is tomorrow. Let me see if I can find this real quick. Tomorrow, Trump is leaving to go to North Carolina and then to Los Angeles. And Monica, who you met yesterday, Monica Page, she will be at Trump's departure. So we may be able to get a live report right after he departs the White House. Loving this relationship with Monica Page. And I think you guys are seeing it as well. Trump for czar. What czar would you want him to be like? I do not feel like we are bringing in so many companies from other countries. I think so, because we're starting to see it at this point. They're going to have to pay. The Saudi Arabian prince bringing in $600 billion. Now, one of the things, I'm just going to say this once. I'm not going to harp on it. I understand the whole AI thing bothers some people. They're scared of it. It's an unknown. But the thing I think you need to realize about AI, besides the fact that you're already using it, trust me, you're already using it, is that Trump is saying to the world, I want to be the leader of AI. And one of those reasons about being a leader of AI is because he obviously wants to make sure it's safe for Americans. You see, if China was the leader of AI, or, someone over there in Europe was the leader of AI, then you wouldn't have basically the safeguards in the code to make sure that Americans are safe. So right now we're in a veritable arms race. And it is an arms race to see who can be the leader in AI worldwide. Trump understands the importance to America of being an AI leader. Because it's the whole thing, like going to the moon, if we ever went to the moon, and having military might. You need to be the big dog on the block. The big dog on the block is who everybody else has to follow. So he understands, and I've seen the battle happening between Elon Musk and Sam Altman. What went on yesterday? Was it a game that Trump was playing and wanted to expose somebody? I don't know. I mean, we're seeing gamesmanship on a whole other level, because Trump had to know, as well as Elon had to know. Remember, he spent weeks at the Southern White House at Mar-a-Lago. Trump knows what Elon is doing with Grok. Grok is just evolving. That's AI. He knows that Elon is developing an AI engine. So what we saw the other day with Sam Altman, I can't tell you about. Yeah, amen, Barry. We need to be the first country to land on Mars, too. So it's all about being the first one, so we can be that leader in the world. And I'm not going to go through all the different ramifications of AI. It can get evil if people decide they want to make deep fakes. They can do it at this point. You've seen them. So there are going to be some limitations coming forward. There's going to be a big test somewhere down the road. Don't know where it's going to come. But that test is going to be, at what point do you say that AI is free speech? That's going to be an interesting legal argument in the future. I got no idea how that's going to be structured, because there's nobody who signed the Constitution that had any idea that we would have something called AI. Now this is why the Supreme Court justices are going to be so important. Is AI free speech? Can I make a video of Trump beating up Kamala in a boxing ring? Is that free speech? I don't know. I don't know how to construe this. But what I do know is that the people who can get control of AI, it's going to be important for the safety of all of us. Just let that cook in your mind for a while. AI is either going to be us or China, U.S. or China. Make your choice. I choose U.S. AI cancer jab is a problem. No, it's not. The only way it would be a problem is if they say you have to take it. Now, I don't have cancer, thank God. My wife doesn't have cancer, thank God. But let me turn that back around on you. Let's say you had cancer right now, and you only had 6 weeks to live. What would you do, or what would you be willing to do to save your life? See, it's easy to say the cancer jab is a problem right now, but you haven't got a terminal diagnosis. Nobody has come to you and said, ma'am, I hate to be the one to break this to you, but you got 6 weeks, maybe 8. You better start taking care of business. So if you're in that position and they say, hey, you want to live like you're dying? Played the song a couple weeks ago. Well, I didn't play the song, told you about it. And they say, you got 6 weeks to live, and you're looking at your kids, and you're looking at your grandkids. But you might want to try this AI jab. Just saying. What could happen? Well, it could fix you, could kill you. But you are going to die in 6 to 8 weeks anyway. What choice are you going to make at that point? Well, most people can say, give me that. Give me that AI cancer jab. What do I have to lose? Severe gave my husband, yeah, exactly. They gave it to people. They should take it away. AI, I Am Legend movie coming to reality. Oh, yep, could be. Because whoever controls those robots is going to, again, who controls the AI? Who tells the robotics what to do? Who tells the robotics what they can't do? Technology is moving so fast that genie is not going back in the bottle. We can lament, we can bitch about it, we can be fearful. It's not going back in the bottle. So the only other option you have is to unplug, throw away your cell phone, buy some land out in Montana somewhere up on a mountain and build a fire and go hunting for food and just completely go off the grid. Which some people have done. That's the only way to get away from it. AI is a computer only, garbage in, garbage out. The bad guys can do very bad stuff. No one can control the future use of AI. AI sponsors dystopian dreams. Okay, I can't disagree with you at this point. Berry diet and parasite removal is all you need. In addition to prayer is all we need for cancer. Well, I could say that, and you can say that, but what about a person who's got a diagnosis that says you got 6 weeks to live? Have you ever been to a hospice and talked to somebody who's basically almost gone? Very close. You get the call, hey, you need to come see her. Why? She doesn't have much time. And you look at that relative, that friend, and you're like, there's nothing we can do? We can give them some stuff to make sure it's not painful that you know of. So you give them the morphine or whatever so that they can just pass peacefully. That's what we're told. But what if there was something else you could give them? What if you could type something in the computer and say, hey, listen, this person has this, and this. Give them whatever. I've been to enough of these times of life where I'm like, give them something. Do something. I just don't want to see this person in this condition. Is there something we can do? But then again, some of us are, absolute realists and go, this is the time. This is part of life. This is the decline. It is your time to go. I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody, never, ever am I going to be a person that tells somebody what you should do, whether to prolong life, whether to sustain life. At that point, if the person is somewhat, cognizant, then let them make the call. But I watched my husband die 4 years of colon cancer. He would have tried it. Yeah. I mean, I would never take that right or presume to make that decision of, hey, listen, your husband, he's going. What do you want to do? Plug him up with the AI. Let's see if the robot can fix it. What's the worst? What's the worst that can happen? Yes, I've lost both parents to cancer, and if I get it, I'm not going to take some big pharma miracle cure. Okay. You know what? The best thing about what you just said? It's your choice. See, I think that's where people are missing. What Biden and some of these people did with these mandates, I don't ever want to go back there again. If the Democrats get in, they will mandate doing whatever they want to you. I want freedom of choice. If you choose that you want to do this, then you do it. If you don't want to do it, then don't do it. That's how I live my life. Hey, listen, I want to get new lights. My wife says, if you want them, go get them. It's your choice. But I don't feel like I want to spend the money. Then don't do it. What are you asking me for? She's actually said that to me before. God gave us freedom of choice. Absolutely. Remember when it was said, you're going to be surprised to know who's been talking to you. Yeah, there's a good one. No more fluoride in our water nationwide. Did you know, see, I'm not sure I can say that yet. Somebody put something about one of the drugs that they still may have a problem, so you have to watch out. Okay, so let's move off of that talk, because I don't want to get I don't even want that in my head for the rest of the day. It's only 12:06, and I don't want to think about loved ones who have passed. But I'm just saying, there's a race, and I consider an arms race with the AI, and Trump is the guy I trust to help America navigate that whole labyrinth. As I put up, don't know if you had a chance to see it, but let me go ahead and just show you this as well. Trump ain't playing. He revoked the security detail for Mike Pompeo. Now, I know a lot of people know some of the stuff that Mike Pompeo did, and it wasn't good stuff. So now he's obviously on the outside looking in. Trump doesn't want to hear it anymore from him. Another thing that happened this morning, the actual order went in place. The State Department orders only U.S. flag to be flown at outposts, bans left-wing flags. So you're not going to see the rainbow flag or what's the other one? The pink and red and LGBT, all that stuff. No more. DEI means no more flags. Done. American flag. That's it. We're not going with this crap anymore. American flag, that's it. It's all common sense stuff. I don't think any of you disagree with these things. Let's see what else has popped up here. I mean that makes absolute sense to me. Why that would be the way it is, because you think to yourself, why wouldn't it be anything but the American flag? This is mind-blowing. Ashley, you're going to make a note for Mark Mitchell, but the Democrats, as I've been telling you, cannot win another election anytime soon. Just in, Americans age 18 to 29, the kids, the college kids, approve of President Trump by a whopping 27 points. 58 to 31. 18 to 29. The kids have flipped and are absorbing and liking patriotism. on college campuses. Yes, it's falling apart for the Dems on all levels. If they lose the kids, they're done. They're losing blacks. They're done.
We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
It just keeps happening. I'm telling you, I'm going to wear out this button on my board. I'm going to have to buy a new board, have it on standby, ready to take it out of the box, because it just keeps happening over and over and over. Every time you refresh, there's something else. Pete Hegseth, just to let you know, Pete Hegseth will be confirmed, because at this point it looks like Fetterman is also going to vote for Pete Hegseth. Fetterman has now become not a Republican, but he has become someone who's like, you know what, the president needs to be able to do his job. I can't judge the guy unless I give him his turn at bat. I may not like him, I may be, against his ideology, but I'm an American senator, and I want to see if this guy can succeed. Which is how it should be. Go ahead. You wanted it. You talked big game. Let me see what you got. Let me put you in the game. Then I can say, hey, he said all this stuff during the campaign. He didn't do anything. And the stuff he did do sucked. Vote for me. That's how it should be. Not let me prevent the guy from even playing. And Fetterman is going to be that guy. Man, I'm telling you guys, it just keeps happening over and over and over. Winning at all levels. So tomorrow, I'm not sure when the vote will be on Pete Hegseth. They're talking about it possibly being tomorrow, Friday, over the weekend. Of course, whenever it happens, we will definitely cover it. But he's going to get in. Let's see what else we got here so I can get you guys going, because we got the 3:30 show, so I'll have a lot more. It's crazy. Things are actually happening. They're happening good for us. They're happening quickly. And no need to fret. We just heard what was basically a great speech. So let me hear what you guys have to say. The Trump effect, absolutely. Great work you do, Barry. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. You have to watch Tom Tillis. He's shaking. He's disapproved of all the J6 pardons. Yeah, but he also wants to get reelected. Let's see here. No federal money for colleges who allow PLOP. Trump also put out an order and said, if you aren't from here and you support some of those organizations, you can be deported as well. What else we got here? Dino. He's a Dino, not a dino, not a rhino. Absolutely. There are a lot of alternatives. That's more for cancer. Yep, the Kash Patel hearing is on the 28th. What's going on at 3:30? At 3:30, there'll be a bunch of news stuff that I'll cover. It's basically a news show. Nothing. Wait a minute, I should rephrase it. I don't know of anything big happening at 3:30, but our normal video show, our normal YouTube show is at 3:30. So that's when we'll do that. All right, so let me go ahead and let you guys know our group is growing at leaps and bounds. If you'd like to join us over on X and get your feet wet, or just talk to some of the people you talk to here in the chat, go to fanfareshop.org/group and join 13.6, I believe we're up to, almost 13,600. And then tonight's show at 7:30, we're going to go ahead and give out some more hoodies. So go ahead and enter to win. Go to fanfareshop.org for that. So with that being said, let me see if there's any super chats I need to acknowledge. Okay. I have Tessie Ledoux. POW flag should be included. Yep. You don't want the POW flag on there? Yeah, it should be. 4 years equal presidency. AI will be owned by evil after that. Well, let's hope that J.D. Vance or whoever could be, in charge. AI is like a thunderstorm. You see it coming. It's your choice if you want to take shelter. No one's going to force you. Good analogy. I like that. Jesus is the only way to the next life, while here on earth, the best life. And if AI is involved, so be it. Thank you, Barry and team. Thank you. Iris Bolin, what do you know about J6 defendant Jeremy Brown being moved? Family doesn't know where he is. And I think this is the guy that is also being... Pennsylvania is trying, I think, put somebody else in jail. I'll look at that for the 3:30 show, get his name. Mr. Mike, I'm with you, Barry. We are so blessed. Woke ideology is done. Trump needs to pull all the weeds that are woke. I follow somebody, Stacy on the right. And Stacy on the right said, at this point, I loved her post. I'm not looking to win. I'm not looking to get by, overcome the left nuts. I'm looking to destroy them. And that's the mentality I've been trying to promote. Don't just win. Destroy these people. Put the boot on the neck, stomp them out. That's exactly how I feel. No mercy. Take no prisoners, expect no mercy. Gonna have to put that on a shirt. Barry, carnivore diet and parasite removal is all you need in addition to prayer. I think we talked about that. D-Lad, I love that he rebuked the Green New Scam to the WEF. Now, you know it's going to be great. When he goes out to California, I'm sure there'll be some sort of press moment where he's talking to Newsom. Watch Newsom fold like a tent. Be like a little kid. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Barry, President Trump perfected the art of the old rope-a-dope, going to all these boxing matches. Perfectly said. At this point, he's not dodging these people. He's letting them know, I'm coming. And you can see they were quite acquiescent to him, even though I'm sure in the background, they're like, this effer. Take your vitamins and get some sleep. We need you healthy. Thank you. Again, I feel fine. I feel completely fine. I just have a frog in my throat. No fever, no sneezing, nothing. No, just right there. Just a little tickle. But thank you. Let's see. Constipated duck. What a handle. Like, subscribe, and share it, Barry Chat. I love your handle. Silver Bean. People don't get rich by wishing it. They work hard. It's meritocracy. These companies fuel the world economy. Thank you, Barry. Sue is referring to somebody had put in the chat, the rich get richer, in regards to what they're watching today. And I went, what? Number one, what's wrong with people being rich? Number two, what is stopping you from getting as much as you want? See, I always ask people that question when they complain about other people making money. It's like, what's stopping you? Now, if you're affirmed, I understand. You have some injury, that's different. But other than that, what would stop you from making money? What's stopping you from making a lot of money? And I've done this, trust me, I could go for an hour on that alone. I've done speeches at financial events, and I've opened with that. And I've said, hey, how you doing? Why are you here? And you're like, I'm here to learn about making more money doing X, Y, or Z. And I'm like, well, do you realize just by being here today, you're ahead of so many hundreds and thousands of people? Because you understand, in order for you to get what you want, you actually have to go after. You can't sit back and go, oh, it sucks. I ain't got any money. I'm broke. The world's against me. Rich people just keep getting richer. Or you can stand up and say, I need to find out what I need to do to make more money. And like I said, I could literally, because it's basically memorized from all the speeches I've done on stage, talking to people and say, okay, what are you going to do about it now? I never want to hear people, especially when I go to talk or something, is people say, I can't. I told you before, when Ashley was a little girl, she may not even remember, but I told her, I can't. No, never say I can't. Don't even put that in your mind. What you need to say is, I'd like for someone to help me and show me how. Big difference, and it opens up a whole lot of more doors. Hey, listen, I'm in this position, but I'd like to get to that position. How do I do it? You remember in the movie Pursuit of Happiness, that whole thing where Chris Gardner walked out to the guy with the Ferrari. He goes, man, what do you do and how do you do it? That's all you need. That's all you need. Start from there. But this isn't a business speech, so I will continue. Let's see here. Constipated Duck again. Like and subscribe. Thank you. Oh, that was from before. Let me just keep going down here. From Beverly Litton, why are Kentucky courting the WF? Are they unaware of what they do? That was Andy Bashir from Kentucky, who saw sitting there with Sarah Huckabee Sanders early in the broadcast, and he's out there trying to recruit business to Kentucky. She's out there trying to recruit business to Arkansas. A progressive governor, and I don't mean from a political standpoint. I'm talking about progressive, meaning I want to improve my state. It only makes sense to see what can I do to bring business in, and that's what they were there for. Harry Beverly, Kerry's daughter claimed 1 billion people would need to die. Yeah, that's the whole thing with that population control stuff. Barry looking good in a dress shirt. Wow. You see, after I said that the other day, my wife said, put one on. But I don't want to wear my T-shirt. You know, you're going to make me start dressing up in here? So I just said, all right, let me see. I'll put one on. It's obviously it's comfortable, but Barry would love to see your podcaster stats for this week. Awesome reporting. I guess you don't miss a thing. Thank you. Numbers are doing great. Yesterday, we were number 15 in the United States overall and number 9 on YouTube. So thank you very much for tuning in. It just makes me want to work harder and just keep moving and keep pushing. Like I said, Ashley has so many guests lined up, and we're just going to keep doing our thing, and hopefully you guys will like it. Ruth P., there are people who survive terminal cancer with alternatives without AI. They've just been censored. That's a good point. That's a very good point. Terry Kane, Sheriff Grady Judd supports Trump but is not happy about letting J6 people that attack cops. Okay, let's find out who those J6 people who attacked cops were. I'd love to know which people were charged with attacking cops. So we'll move forward from there. And by the way, when you say attack cops, what exactly does that mean? So we don't know. Well, somebody knows. Grits Girl, I'm excited for AI to be innovative in the med field. Med students already use it to learn how to do procedures. I've lost my mom and many friends to cancer and my daddy. Wow, thank you. Sorry about that. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the speech this morning. And whenever I find out, or whenever Ashley finds out that we've got to get out there and cover something, we certainly will. We're glad you guys tune in. So we'll see you at 3:30. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot more breaking news. All right, talk to you soon.